I am Doomsvince, and this is day 1, day 2, day 57, day 72, day 150, day 198 of Spawn. Drop!
Is that good for you?
Good. You got a cigarette?
I feel like I'm at like a photography studio. Where like they set up all the gravestones, and then you have your kid in his Halloween costume.
You need the clacker thing just for the making of featurette.
Hello everyone! It's around day 60 or so of Spawn Year, and welcome to the making of featurette. Now, of course, by the time you see this, we'll have put together all of Spawn Year, but right now we've made about 60 episodes, and I thought this would be a good time to show you a little bit about how we do things around here. This is the Spawn set, and as you can see, it's pretty small. It appears, obviously, pretty small on the screen. I have had people ask, hey, can we see more of the Spawn set? Can we see more of the graveyard? And I'm like, well, no. But this is what we made, and this is about all the room Captain Logan needs to make, you know, his entries in the Spawn notebook. What I'm going to show you today is basically how we put together an episode, and then a little bit later in the program we'll show you some behind the scenes footage of specific things we did with the prologue, with the epilogue, which at this date we haven't shot yet, and things like that. And I'll show you props, and I'll show you what we do with the lighting on the set, and the fog machine, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. Really hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. So usually when I start making an episode, the first thing I do is I turn on all the lights on the Spawn set. So we've got the green light here, that's just here for a little bit of mood lighting on this side, and then we have the skull, which, as you can probably tell watching the show, is not actually a real flame. We just use one of these tea lights. And if you notice on the first few episodes, the tea light went out, the original that we had, and I didn't notice it until about 3 episodes after it was pretty much gone. And so we've got a couple episodes where there's not much light coming from the skull, so I bought a bunch of them, and these actually last longer, so I don't know if I'm gonna need these at all. And then the last thing that we do is we turn on the main light here, which is really just a desk light, just a desk lamp with a piece of paper on it, to kind of diffuse the light a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll obscure the back of the set like that, so that it looks like it's got a bit more depth to it, and so that we don't cast a lot of shadows. And then usually at the end of the episode, when I do that back off shot, I'll flip this, and then you see more of it lighted there like that. So then the next thing that we do is we turn on the fog machine. The reason that I decided to go with fog is I wanted to obscure shadows. When we started, I wasn't even going to use a fog machine. We started putting this together, and I realized that it was going to be really hard not to just have straight shadows all over the place. I mean, the way it's lit right now, if I sit here, you can see my shadow on the back wall, and this, of course, is supposed to be black that goes back for a really long time, but it doesn't. It's just a cloth, you know. So I thought, well, we do smoke for mood and that kind of thing, and it ended up being really nice because it's not so hard to deal with the shadows that way. What I had initially kind of hoped would happen with the eye, because the point of the ice with the fog machine is for the fog to kind of lay on the ground. And it doesn't just lay on the ground for very long. It rises up and it's all over the place. And it ended up being really nice for the shadow thing, but I don't have all this, you know, fog on the bottom here. So whenever you see when I do mood kind of things where I'm like, I want you to see a bunch of fog, I'm shooting right after I've turned the machine on. It doesn't linger for more than a couple of minutes. So originally, I was a little concerned about doing a daily show with a fog machine because I've got to sit in here and make these episodes and have all this fog around me, and you know, it's smoke and you have to breathe it. And it's not too bad. I got used to it after a while. The first week I was filming, I couldn't make more than like a show or two at one time because I just got really parched in here, and I'd get kind of tired and I wouldn't want to keep working. And I make up a lot of the visual jokes and things actually on the set on the day, so I gotta keep focused and interested in what I'm doing. As far as how often I made these and how, you know, many times a day, usually I do 2 or 3 at once. Some days I do a little bit more if I was feeling ambitious, but I usually film and I edit on the same day, so more than 3 is kind of pushing it. So you get the set all fogged up, and of course it's usually a little more foggy than this. You usually run the fog machine 2 or 3 times, and then while you're filming, you occasionally just keep pushing the fog out a little bit. And then the first thing I do is I shoot the notebook. I shoot me writing in the notebook, and I just shoot everything I recorded at one time, kind of pantomiming while I'm writing. And it's real high-tech how we do it. We just use my phone. So what I would do is I would send it to myself and over email, and I've got it on a QuickTime file there. This was day 60 when we shot the board game episode, and so I would just put this down, and I'll get it to the right day in the notebook. Make sure it's in the right day, and then literally this is what I do. I reach over, I hit play, and then I start acting. And then I just pick up the pen and I start writing, and I pretend like I'm coming up with it while I'm doing it. And that's how we did it. When I first came up with this idea, I thought we were going to use stock footage. I thought I was just going to shoot myself for 3, 4, 5 hours writing in the notebook from maybe multiple angles, coming up with as many different kinds of facial expressions as I could, and hoping people wouldn't notice we were using footage. This is a whole lot easier, and I'm able to react to specific things at one time. And one recurring joke that people seem to like a lot is whenever I would like mime with my mouth something I said in the notebook while it was happening, and I would try to do that at key moments when I thought it was really funny, like this is Spawn territory. And then from there, after I'm done with the notebook, I just shoot extra shots that I think I might need. Again, I don't write a bunch of notes to myself for what I think I might need on the day. I base everything on whatever I wrote in the notebook. So I always shoot 4 or 5 or 6 reaction shots of me reading the comic book, whatever it happens to be, and I'll just base that on, again, whatever I said in the notebook, whether I really enjoyed it or really hated it, or if I thought something was really bizarre, and I just come up with really exaggerated facial expressions, and then I'll shoot whatever else I need with props, like the knife when we were doing the bloodletting section and all that kind of stuff. And then the last thing we do is we shoot the kind of back off shot up high. So we just take I just take the tripod and I put it at its max height. This is the tripod we use. Here's our tripod, and you just get this to its max height. And I mean, in a perfect world, I would have done this more like a crane shot, had it from even higher. But you know, this is a small room. We don't really have the ability to do that. So you know, I did the best I could. Then I would shoot whatever gag I wanted to do at the end. That's one of the toughest parts, is coming up with something you haven't done yet to end the show, especially with as limited of a set as we have and as limited of props as we have with the conceit of Spawn Year. Because the idea is that Doomsvents gives Captain Logan just very specific things, and it's all Spawn related. So you've got tombstones, and you got a knife, and you got the notebook and a pen, if you have a pen, and you have a skull, which I think I've gotten about as much mileage out of already in just 60 days as I think I'm going to for the whole year. And that's about it. There's not a whole lot of stuff that you have at your disposal, and you just gotta try to come up with things that you think will be funny and hopefully relate to the thing on the day. That's one of the most challenging parts. There's a lot more improvisation to this than I thought there would be. One of the biggest questions I get about Spawn Year is, do you actually write all of the entries in the notebook? And in fact, I do. This is the first notebook. I'm almost done with it here on about day 60, and these I get at Barnes & Noble. They're almost 20 bucks a piece, and they're leather bound, and this I thought was just the perfect design for the Spawn set, so I decided to go with these, and I bought already 3 more because I know I'm gonna need them. So we've got more of these, and yeah, I'm filling these up, and I'm gonna start trying to write a little smaller because I just don't know how many of these I'm gonna need, and like I said, they're a little bit pricey. So here is day 1, and this is really how I'm doing it. I'm writing these all by hand, and it certainly takes a lot longer than when you're writing reviews typing, and it gives me something else to cut to, because what you don't want on a show like this is just a dude sitting in one place for 5 minutes, seeming like he's talking to himself. And so what I wanted to do was make it kind of like a flashback sequence that you get in old movie where that's kind of a period piece, right? Where it's that scene where somebody's writing in a journal and you hear the voiceover like while the person's writing it. That was kind of the whole idea of the show, and it let me write these completely, not have to memorize anything, not even have to talk on the set, and doing it this way lets me show you some of what's actually in the notebook. When you look at the notebook, you get all of my mistakes. I'm not using whiteout because Captain Logan wouldn't have whiteout, so when I mess up, it looks pretty awful because I thought it would make a lot of sense for it to. And you've got these sections where I wrote in my own blood. I did not, however, decided to go as authentic as writing in my own blood. I instead used a red pen, as you might expect, and that's what I did, but I think it looks pretty good. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to fill these up. I'm going to have a whole bunch of them. And one amusing note about the notebook is, let me see if I can find a good page. There are some places in the notebook where Jason, my son, got a hold of this thing and scribbled all over it. And I thought I was kind of doomed. I thought I was going to have to, here's a page, I thought I might have to rip some of these pages out, and this is actually, by the way, one where I wrote over the scribble. The scribble was there, I wrote over it. And what I decided to do instead was I wrote an entry that happens, I forget exactly where, it's within, I think, maybe the 30s, where Captain Logan gets really angry because he makes a grammatical error, and then he, oh no, it's not the grammatical error, it's when I get my pen back. I get my pen back after I was writing in my own blood, and I get angry, and I just go through and I start scribbling up in the notebook. I didn't make any of the scribbles, my son made those, so I thought that was amusing. Anyway, now what I want to do is show you a little bit of some of the other props that we use. So originally, this room, when we moved into our house, was Sarah's office, and it's also the Star Trek room. We wanted to decorate it, Sarah wanted to decorate it rather, in a lot of our Star Trek stuff. And it's kind of turned into the Spawn room throughout Spawn Year, just while I'm working on this thing. So this thing is filled with props from Spawn Year. As you can see, I got some t-shirts from changing into the Spawn shirt here. I kind of live in here right now, working on Spawn Year. And this is one of the first props I bought. I got a lot of our stuff for Spawn Year at a Halloween store. I was fortunate enough to start working on Spawn Year right around Halloween. So there was a Halloween store right up the street. I went up there thinking about, hey, maybe we should build a set for this thing. Back when I didn't even realize it was going to be a story thing yet. At that point, Spawn Year was just going to be a series of comic book vaults with me off the cuff talking about Spawn every day, just reviewing single issues day to day. And the more I talked about it with Dan, who co-created the show, but only in that he came up with this joke, hey, wouldn't it be funny if you did Spawn Year? And I was like, no, that's hilarious. And we started talking about it, and we decided to do it. And as I thought more and more about it, and as we got some better equipment for Geekvolution and things like that, I decided that this would be the best time to test my skills in the filmmaking arena and do some things I'd never done before and try to do something a little bit more cinematic. So I started buying props and built a set, and this is one of the first things I bought. So this is, of course, Vince's evil trident, and Vince really enjoys playing with this thing. Why?
Because I can choose any hell for you that I wish, and I've chosen this one. I can resist. Candy bars!
Here is Angela, and I've got a whole ton of action figures down here. I just kind of leave these all over the place down here in little plastic baggies. Some of these things I had already. A lot of them I bought for the show, and we've really spent a significant budget on this show, at least for us. And I just thought that I should have plenty of stuff to play with on the set, because like I said, I had to make 365 of these, and I'm again sitting here at day 60. I'm still hoping I have enough stuff and enough ideas for how to keep it fresh all the time. Also, if you're wondering, yes, on the set I do drink Mountain Dew. That is a true thing about Captain Logan. Captain Logan loves his Mountain Dew, though he does not drink as many Mountain Dews as the version on Spawn here. So I won't take you through the entire editing process, but I do want to show you one question I get a lot, which is, how do you do that thing with Doomsvince's head? And here's how we do that. So you want a floating Doomsvince head. What you do is you film Vince's head. First, you got to get Vince. Then you film Vince's head on black, and as you see, we just have this black blanket that we use. It's a little wrinkly. It's not a problem for this, because we're actually going to take everything out except for the contours of Vince's face. Anything lit up, we're going to be able to see. It is a problem that we've had a little bit with the section of Vince saying, "I am Doomsvince, and this is day whatever of Spawn year," where there we do need that black background, and we didn't count on just how wrinkly that blanket was when we shot it. So you can see the wrinkles a little bit. I kind of doctored that up so that it's darker than it was when we shot it, but still with the light in the background you can still see it a little bit. Here it's not going to matter. So what we do is we take Doomsvince's face, and by the way, what I do is I just shoot a whole bunch of Vince sitting there. He's actually sitting, and he just sits there, and I just give him a bunch of direction. And I say, Vince, I want you to look at Captain Logan really angry, or I want you to look like you're really perturbed by something Captain Logan just said in his notebook. And I'll just give him a whole bunch of motivation. He'll do a whole bunch of different faces. He'll do them for me for 30, 45 seconds, give me enough to work with. And I don't do any of it based on the notebook. I just get a whole bunch of different Doomsvince expressions, and then I throw them in for whatever I need. So if the notebook says, I was talking to Doomsvince and this is what he said, or oh man, that Doomsvince, and the Doomsvince is up there smirking at him, laughing at him. Doomsvince, stop laughing that hard. You're gonna need a lozenge. Then I just go and I find a place where Doomsvince is laughing that hard. He probably need a lozenge. And so we find a spot. Let's see. Doomsvince, look, there he is. He's laughing so hard. He's probably gonna need a lozenge. So we cut through. Just kind of look at it a little bit, see how much of this I think I'm gonna need. He's still laughing. That's probably good. So I can cut that off there. Get rid of this. This, by the way, this program is Sony Vegas, and that's what I use to edit everything. And it's got a lot of really great tools. And here's what I use for this. When I first did this, I thought I was going to have to do it on green screen, and I got really happy that I didn't have to, because you don't see any green around Vince's head. It looks really natural. And so what I do is I go into the mask generator. I messed around for a while trying to find something that would do this, and this works nicely. So you take the luminance mask, you put it on top of Doomsvince's face, and look, already it's less opaque, and you can see Captain Logan in the background there, because I'm going to put this on top of some footage of me. This actually, by the way, is the Popsicle episode, amusingly enough. And so then what I do is I take the low end here, and I bring it up until all you see are the contours of Doomsvince's face. Now, I don't want to go too far. I just want to go to where it's a little bit see-through, but enough that you can still see that it's Doomsvince. And then all we got to do is go in and resize it. So I size it like this, move him over here. Sometimes I want a really big, like kind of overwhelming, terrifying Doomsvince head. It looks very Marlon Brando. And then other times I want him, a little bit more down to the level of Captain Logan's face. And then now they sync up really well, and there's Captain Logan writing, and there's Doomsvince reacting to it. Sometimes I'll do this cheat where I'll just tilt his head ever so slightly so that his eyes still match up a little bit with Captain Logan, and it doesn't look strange because, after all, he's a floating head, and so you know, he might move his head like that. And so again, you go into pan or crop, and you just move it ever so slightly. Now his eyes are in a slightly different place, but it doesn't look strange because, after all, he's a floating head. So as far as length, these things take usually somewhere between about 15 minutes to shoot and anywhere between half an hour to an hour to edit, depending on obviously how much material there is. And some episodes are a lot more complicated than others. Like, you know, when we did the Super Nintendo episode, that took a lot longer because there's just a whole lot more elements to it. A lot more reaction shots, a lot more insert things. You got to record all that gameplay, and then, you know, editing it takes longer too. A general episode, one of the like 4, 5, 6-minute episodes is going to be a little closer to like 15 minutes to shoot. And as far as the pictures, I don't actually scan them. I actually just take the comic book and I take a picture with the camera, because I have a camera feature where I can just press a button, take a shot, flip a page, take the next shot, and it would perhaps look somewhat nicer if I wasn't, you know, putting a camera on top of it and I was actually scanning these, because it is at somewhat of an angle so that you don't have light problems, especially with these glossy pages. But I think that the quality is quite good, and the reason I do it that way for the most part is because you're always going to run into books that you just can't put in a scanner, you can't crush them, you don't want to mess up the spines, and also if you ever get into anything thicker, you just can't put them in there. You can't get the edges of the pages and stuff. I don't want to keep it consistent. So, and frankly, not that I'm lazy or anything, but I got to do this as a daily show, and these, you know, it just goes a lot faster if I can just take a snapshot, turn the page. And another thing that's really nice about that is that I'm able to edit everything from the same device, because I'm taking pictures with the same camera that I'm actually shooting the video with. Hi, I'm Captain Logan. It is, we're about to shoot day 216 of Spawn Year, and I'm just sitting here on the set, kind of relaxing between takes. We just shot one, we're shooting 3 more today, and right now we're about to shoot kind of a regular episode, and I thought it might be cool to show everybody the new set and talk a little bit about how we built it and everything. I did one of these for the original set, for the Graveyard set. We built this set actually in exactly the same location as the first set. We struck it, we took down all of the gravestones and all that stuff, and then we built this right on top of it. So you can see the walls here are brick. A lot of people on the show in comments have thought that this brick is real. It is in fact cardboard. It's corrugated cardboard. You can see how it bends, how it's flexible. It photographs really well on camera because of, I think mostly because of the shadows that are actually imprinted just in the, you know, photography of the cardboard. And the way that the bricks kind of overlay each other. It looks kind of real on camera. What's really amazing is that people haven't immediately called it, because we have this kind of scene here where we had to put one layer of it on top of the other. And again, it looks a lot better on camera than it does in real life in the actual place. And of course we have our regular film lighting right now, so it's going to look to you just like it does on Spawn Year right now. So that's not especially helpful to show you the difference. But anyway, that's what that's like. And the set, obviously really simple. In a lot of ways simpler even than the last one, because there's not quite as many props and things on the set. We did have to buy some extra things for it. Obviously we bought the cardboard. We bought this trash can, which I was really happy we were able to find, because this is exactly the kind of trash can I thought would be in the middle of an alleyway. At one point we had talked about putting a fire in it, and we couldn't figure out a great way to make it look real and do it all the time. If this were like a one episode thing, or if it was like a movie or something, we probably could have done it, but given that we have to do this every day and we've got to come up with something that we can do on the day, every day, we decided ultimately against it, which afforded us the opportunity to do all kinds of other fun things with the trash can. Here's the Spawn costume. This is the mask that you see every day on the current Spawn Year, and you can see if you get up real close to the mask here, you can see that there are lenses in it. And what we do to create the glowing green effect, it's really, really very simple. All we do is we put a glow stick in it. That's right, that's all it is. We take your regular glow stick that you see sometimes at like 4th of July or when you go to like plays or other kinds of events and things, and we just stick that inside of it. The guy who built the suit, Jeremy Pierce, came up with this method. Jeremy was just a watcher of Spawn Year. He was really enjoying Spawn Year early on in the year, and he contacted me and asked me if I would work with him on a fan film next year, a Batman thing he's doing. And I've agreed to help him with that, and he decided to build me a Spawn mask, and I had plans originally to do something with an actual Spawn. Captain Logan was going to meet Spawn toward the end of the year. That was going to be one of the big climactic things we did. And things changed a little bit when Jeremy started talking about building more of the suit, and he just got really gung-ho with it. He works with latex. This mask, he does masks from scratch. This one actually was originally a zombie mask that he latexed over and did the face on. We have 2 pairs of gloves. One of the pairs he did like zombie gloves that he then latexed over. And in fact, these he just bought. He didn't even do anything to these particular gloves here, but we have a couple sets that we use and interchange. And then the body. This is just a long sleeve T-shirt that he latexed over, and he got this through various things. In fact, I'm going to try to get Jeremy to do a special feature with us on the suit, and so I won't talk too much about it right now because he'll have a lot more interesting things to tell you about it because he actually is the one who built it and worked on it. But I can tell you a couple things. First of all, these spikes are foam. This is not real metal because, you know, that would be a really good way to kill yourself. And this is like exercise mat is what this is made out of, which is really cool. So the whole thing is very light. It's not heavy at all. It's going to get heavier when we start adding chains and things to it. And here in a couple episodes, actually today, we're going to start adding the chains, and then we're going to have the cape here pretty soon. In about a week. He was really cool to start building me this suit, and as he started getting more ambitious about the suit, I got more ambitious about what we could do with it, and that's when I came up with the notion of Captain Logan physically turning into Spawn through the latter half of Spawn Year. And originally we were always going to do the second Sugar Coma, but originally it was going to be just the graveyard kind of tilted with with a creepy tint and kind of the green thing actually that we do with this set, and it was going to be just kind of this secondary creepier, weirder graveyard. And when we came up with when Jeremy came up with the suit and I came up with the idea of doing Spawn kind of permanently through a lot of the rest of Spawn Year, it was Sarah who came up with the idea to do the alleyway, and she said, well, I think we could do it cheaply, and let's just do a whole alleyway. And here comes Jason, who's wearing not his Tiny Adam West Batman suit, but just a Batman mask. And anyway, I guess he wants me to show you this wig. We've got some other props, and actually, Jason, you want to grab me the hat too? We've got some other props that you've probably seen by now. We haven't used these yet, actually, in Spawn Year at the moment that we're working right at this minute, but here are a couple of the props that we're going to be using here pretty soon that, again, you've probably seen already. This is the wig for Freakadoo, the Captain Logan version of Freak, who runs the kind of hell that Captain Logan is in at this point. And then his counter character is Captain Cagliostro, who wears a Starfleet uniform and a trench coat and this ridiculous hat. So Jennifer, Brandon sister, she's a seamstress and does a lot of costume work, and I was trying to find a hat to do Captain Cagliostro, and I wanted a really big rim. Now, I had no intention of it being this big originally, but then Brandon talked to Jennifer for me and got her to commit to making a hat for us. She's going to be doing some other costume work for me also throughout the year, having to do with Geekvolution, which is super, super, super cool of her. Anyway, Jennifer decided she wanted to make the hat, and that she was willing to do it for us, and so we sent her, so she asked me how big it ought to be, and I was talking to Sarah, and I was like, what do you think, like 4 or 5 inches? And Sarah was like, no, that's not nearly big enough. She's like, how about like 8 or 10? And so we told her 10, and this is what we ended up with. And she brought it over and she said, I don't know what you're going to do with this enormous hat. And I said, well, it's going to be absurd, which is precisely what I wanted it to be. So I'm hoping this is going to be as funny on camera as it is in real life. I also imagine that when we start using this is going to be great with the Spawn suit. I also imagine that when we start using this, it will rarely ever entirely be in frame. I imagine we'll see it popping off the sides all the time. So anyway, there's some of the props, there's some of the set stuff, and then real quick, let me actually get up here and we'll give you a closer look at the chair. Sarah built us this remarkable looking throne. This is, of course, just using a lot of cardboard boxes and Mountain Dew boxes and some bubble wrap, and then some Spawn pictures from comic books. And we decided we would do a whole collage on the back of kind of some of the most important characters and figures, both in the Spawn comic and also that have to do with Spawn year. So you'll notice here's Clown right in the center, which is partly because we knew how important Clown was going to be given the whole Tiny Adam West thing. We hadn't really come up with Tiny Adam West yet, but I knew I was going to do a guide character. And so Sarah started putting different characters in the background, and I started kind of strategizing with her about which ones would be important. So we wanted to put Freak back there because I knew Freakadoo was going to happen, and I wanted to make sure Cagliostro got in there somewhere because I kind of thought there might be a Cagliostro character. Obviously, some of this kind of writes itself as it goes along. Some of these character ideas have changed and grown a little bit. But anyway, the back, regardless of whatever we were thinking when we first started doing it, it works perfectly with what we're doing now, which is really fantastic. A lot of people have asked me about what these arms are, and a couple folks have called it. These arms are, of course, comic book long boxes, and in fact, they're not even really held down very well. I can pull these right up. This is just brown paper. These were actually just brown paper bags that we cut up. And, or rather, I cut them up and Sarah actually put them on the thing. Sarah really did the majority of this. And so that was really cool of her. So thanks a lot, Sarah. And anyway, so yeah, we thought it would be cool for the throne to be, since this is all kind of in Captain Logan's mind, sort of, we thought it would be cool if the whole throne was kind of a hodgepodge of important things to Captain Logan, but also Jason, but also things that kind of haunt Captain Logan. So you got the Mountain Dew thing because he feels like that's the thing that, or because that's the thing that to Captain Logan got him into Spawn year in the first place, and then of course the Spawn comics themselves and the long boxes because comics are such a big part of Spawn year and Captain Logan's life. Yeah, so whenever I finish one of these, it can get pretty sweaty, especially shooting during the summer. This was a lot nicer when it was winter. This stuff is not all that heavy. It doesn't get too warm in here unless the temperature is kind of up there. And I mean air conditioning and stuff, but it's still warmer down here for some reason than normal. Anyway, so like, the glow stick is all kind of sweaty. Speaking of glow sticks, we have tried so many different things light-wise in this thing. We've had like electric lights on a battery hooked up to it, kind of a what do you call it, LEDs, and we started with, we've even tried a chroma key thing. We tried putting bright blue in there and then chroma that out into green, but too much of the set will somewhat dissolve too. You might notice a couple of episodes that we tried that with, it doesn't look the best. So anyway, we started with these green glow sticks, and we've gone back to them. Oh, hi, Sarah.
Hi. Jason said you need scissors.
I did, but I decided against the scissor thing. Okay. Sorry about that. I've already finished.
Okay, I'll just put them in.
I'm just talking to the camera.
Cool.
So anyway, I used to be able to only shoot this with somebody else helping me. I finally figured out a way to do it on my own again. Jason actually is my little assistant. He actually comes and helps me. He helps me out a little bit. He hands me things and stuff like that. The stuff he's doing I can do myself, but it's faster if I have somebody else to help me. But the deal was I used to need somebody else to help me get in the suit and somebody else to move the camera around, or alternately Sarah would be in the suit. She did probably, good lord, 30, 40, maybe more episodes. Kissing Spawn's great. It's about 1:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, and I am currently working on day 304 of Spawn year. We are 6 months late with Spawn year. Spawn year should have been over on December 31st, 2013. So why is it taking the time that it's taken? Part of it is that it ended up requiring more help than I thought it would. Part of it is my friend Jeremy Pierce. I couldn't just let that show up for 45 seconds. I couldn't have this great, amazing Spawn costume that Pierce worked countless hours on for 45 seconds in the show, and that's when I started really brainstorming, and you know, I wanted to come up with a kind of natural way to do it where it wouldn't seem like we were just milking the suit for all it was worth, and that's when I came up with this notion of Captain Logan goes into a second sugar coma, which was an idea that was thrown out by one or two different viewers, and I latched onto it. And by the way, there are a number of ideas that kind of came from viewer comments that I started kind of thinking about extrapolating, and ideas that came from folks I know that I was keeping in a very small loop about what exactly we were going to do with Spawn Year. So Eric knew the genesis of everything from the beginning, and it was Eric's idea to kill off Doomsvents. I still like Spawn as a concept, as a design, as a really original, innovative looking thing. I like a lot of the notions of characters in Spawn, and I feel like, and I'm not going to get rid of my collection. Folks have asked me about that. I want to talk a little bit also about the experimental nature of this project. It's been incredibly weird and counterintuitive because I haven't been able to do any revision, and a large percentage of fiction writing is revision. You get a rough draft, you get all your ideas out there, and then that's when the real work begins. You start going through and pilfering, you know, through the thing, and moving things around and changing words and stuff, and that's when you start bringing out themes and that sort of stuff. And with Spawn, I couldn't do that because I had to post them when I finished them. Now, I had several episodes written and recorded before we started Spawn Year, and then eventually, of course, I caught up to myself. But I did have to post some. I couldn't do the whole thing at once and then post it because a lot of the best ideas, as I said, came from interaction with people and audience and people, friends of mine, seeing it and things like that. So I'm glad that we posted it in this kind of episodic sort of way instead of having it all and then or posting it like as we were going along. I'm glad we did it that way. But let's also do it handwritten so that even while you're writing the show, you can't change very much. And I've broken a lot of rules. I've done a lot of things that if I were writing a novel, say, I would never do. You know, I would never like be married to a chapter before I went on to another chapter. I would write a book. I would get a book finished, get a draft, and then start editing. Can't edit Spawn Year. And so there are bound to be little continuity mistakes here and there, hopefully not huge ones. One thing that I've done that I do not recommend and really resisted doing, but there was no way around it, is I wrote the ending while I still had somewhere around 100 episodes left to make. And like I said, I like to do character-driven fiction. I don't want to lock my character into a choice that is informed, that would be informed by another 100 days that have not even happened yet. But the problem is, because of certain things that I knew we were definitely going to do and probably wouldn't change, I had to have the final script for, and of course that stuff, the narrative stuff, I mean not the narrative, but the traditional scene stuff are things that I could revise and mess with. Anything with dialogue that's not in the notebook, I could change and mess with. And I had to have the final version of that done in February because I needed snow on the ground for certain things. And I do think that the ending might be stronger, and these last several episodes, I've got another 60, so I don't know what they're all even going to look like at this point. They might ultimately have been a little bit stronger, and it'll be interesting to see, going back to them after I've made them, if I weren't writing toward that ending, if I didn't already have that in the can. And the thing is, we filmed most of it already. Like right now, the day that I'm recording this, we filmed 80% of the last 3 days, 364, 365, and the epilogue. We have not yet shot the Coke Redeemer fight. We're trying to figure out locations on this. It's going to be interesting going back to this little segment here after Spawn Year's all finished, because right now I'm actually kind of considering maybe doing it in the house. And that might change. I don't know yet. So we're trying to figure out locations. At the end of the day, I'm glad we did it. I've learned a lot, especially on the cinematic side. How to set up cinematic sorts of shots, and just in doing this kind of a narrative structure. I really want to do more reviews embedded inside of narrative in the future, because I really enjoyed that side of it, and it lets me have my cake and eat it too, and have my two great loves at the same time. Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and we are shooting the final kind of Batman Spawn fight thingy, the combat exercise, and I've got my crew here with me. We're just about to get started, and we thought we'd chat with you for just a few minutes and tell you what it's been like making this crazy thing. And Jane, stop this crazy thing. So real quick, why don't we just chat a little bit about our experiences? Sarah, could you describe for the camera what your favorite part of this project has been, and any kind of unforeseen strange complications that have popped up?
Well, my favorite part of this has just been the set building, really. I've really enjoyed making the sets, figuring out what they were going to be. The biggest tangle in it was when we weren't sure if we were going to a second set or not, and if so, what would it be? And I remember we were driving down, I think we were either going to the grocery store or from somewhere like that, and just it came to us all of a sudden where, of course, you go from the graveyard to the alleyway. It only makes sense, and from then on. So, Pierce, what possessed you to go this far? Like what made you think, now we gotta have a cape, we gotta go the whole 9 yards? Because honestly, we never would have. Because you knew I didn't have any plans for any of that stuff.
It was supposed to be just 5 minutes, and ended up in all that. And once I started, I just couldn't stop. I got the mask done and thought, well, the chest did look good, and then the cape, and now we're all the way to your feet.
Yes, the suit is now 100% custom. This is the first, and I just proved that I can kick in the boot. It's fantastic. Jason, how do you like playing Tiny Adam West?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you take the mask off so we can see you for a second? What do you like doing more, Jason? Playing yourself or playing Tiny Adam West?
Playing Tiny Adam West.
Yeah. Do you like having the mask on and doing crazy things with your eyes? Yeah. Do you find it kind of hard? Is it tricky, or is it pretty easy?
It's pretty easy.
Yeah. What do? You just point and stuff? Did you just listen to Dad? Dad says, "Hey, Jason, point," and then you point.
No.
No. Are you more of a method actor?
I just fight, and I would usually point, and I fight like Batman.
You fly like Batman?
Yeah, because
unfortunately we didn't have a camera running when that was going on.
No, Batman.
He's clearly a natural. And Brandon, what has been your favorite part of this? I brought you on for lots of different random things.
I've been on for lots of different things. Yes, I'd say my favorite part of this is coming up with ways to do things that show up even better than maybe say an original concept. It's always fun when we have a concept and you bring a concept to me and I'm like, well, that's great, but we can also make it look really cool by doing it this way.
Yeah, the only problem is usually it takes another couple hours.
Maybe so, but I think it adds to the air of it. I'll bring up my most favorite one was the one where we had the hanging action figures, where we had you had to pick them for the game at hand and pick them out of the air, and
we needed them to float.
We also did a thing with magnets to make those guys move around the board.
Yeah, that looked really good. And that wouldn't have happened without you.
I'm laying on the ground on my back with my hand up underneath the table, moving a magnet while we've got in frame just everything we need to, and we're moving things around on this board for this insanely complicated and convoluted board game of Spawn.
Yeah.
We played it first to know how it would go.
That was both one of my favorite and least favorite parts of the entire experience.
Yeah, indeed.
So Pierce, could you describe real quick what we're doing today?
I think we're going to be filming, well, we don't know which number it is yet. We're going to be filming.
Yeah, we don't know the day number yet, but it's the
final
last combat training fight. Yeah. And
Getting you ready for Doomsvents.
getting me ready for Doomsvents,
The
and
Copra Gamer.
it's gonna be a lot of me and you hitting each other. Yeah.
And we have a lot of happy accidents.
So Vince and I are gonna tell you a little bit about our experience together making Spawn Year. Vince is gonna talk about playing Doomsvents. And you know, when he played Doomsvents, there's like the real Doomsvents, but then there's Vince playing playing Doomsvents. Are we gonna keep this meta thing up? Okay, so Vince plays Doomsvents, and we have this whole thing where, as far as you know, we're making it all up. As far as you know. Anyway, so we're gonna talk a little bit about making Spawn Year, making Spawn Year.
Spawn Year time.
There's obviously a reason that Tim Lyon's saying that and I didn't. Anyway, so we are just so you have a sense of where we are here when this is. Today is October 20th, and
yes.
We last night just had the big red carpet premiere for Spawn Year here at my house, and we had
red carpet outside and everything.
That's right, we did that.
No
And we had a lot of folks over, and everybody watched. Everybody really enjoyed the finale. It was a good time. It was a really big deal for me to finally get to see, to get to show it in front of an audience. It was great. It was really fun. Vince hadn't seen it yet. Vince got to see it for the first time.
Granted, I was in a lot of it, so I was aware of what happened. But you know, it's fun to see it all come together.
And so where I'm at right now is, even though the finale is finished, I'm still working on the show. I'm not quite done with everything. I've still got like another 15 episodes left to shoot and edit, but they're all written and the hard stuff's done. Vince, why don't you talk a little bit about how about kind of, you know, our initial discussion of getting you involved in this and what that was like, and putting Doomsvents together and all that.
Well, initially, Cap here said to me, remember Tick Month? Do you remember Tick Month? I want to do something that's Spawn Year. What do you think? And I said, well, Bud, he's like, you hate it, don't you? He said, no. I don't hate the idea. I know you have a knack for making things into projects. And he said, well, it doesn't have to be a project. It'll be easy. It'll be a comic vault every day. And I said, oh, sure, man. If that's what you want to do, go right ahead. And I said, but just remember, when this blows up and this becomes something that takes up all of your time, I warned you.
Spawn Year is a monument to my tendency to overextend myself.
Yep. And that's kind of where Spawn Year, like, I think started. Eventually, Captain Logan comes and says, you know what, I had this idea, but we can't do it if you're not on board with it.
Yeah.
And at some point I said, you know, sure, man. I'm like, either way, I'm here, we're shooting videos, we're going to do GNN, we're going to do recommends, we're going to do whatever. Cap did like a whole heck of a lot of the work, and then he said, hey Vince, you want to shoot some stuff for me? And I said, yeah, sure. So
give him a script, he'd read it.
And he would...
but there's a lot of ad-lib.
Yeah, he let me ad-lib stuff, and that, I think, was the kind of the fun part of doing some of this Doomsvent stuff, was that I could use some of my improv skills companioned with some of the stuff that he wrote for me.
It's a long, cold run for someone who's been comatose in my guest room for a year. They say addiction is a slippery slope. But you'll find plenty of those in the cold. You know what they say about revenge? It has something to do with dishes and the cold.
And some of it made it, some of it didn't. And, you know, when you're doing improv stuff, especially filmed improv stuff, you get the luxury of choosing the golden stuff and cutting out the not golden stuff. So,
especially because you're not just doing sketch comedy, you're also telling a story.
Right. So, and what was interesting is I feel like, and I don't have any examples to cite right now, but as you go through and as you're writing things, you know, you have a general idea of where you're going. But, and granted, you know, Cap wrote this, so that's the idea, is that you have this general idea of where you're going, but ideas from friends and some of the improvised stuff kind of influences where you're going.
Well, and when we did the prologue, especially, there were places where you were like, I don't know, I think this line would be funnier, or you'd try to tack something on.
You will record it in a notebook that I will provide to you instead of a word processor because I thought it would be mean.
But that's not to say that he didn't do a lot of what I wrote. I mean, like you know, it's not like he was just making up whatever random things.
But I mean, and that's the thing, though, is that sometimes, and I guess if we're talking about the evolution of Doomsvents,
yeah,
or even the limited inclusion of Vince within this, sometimes I say this line is good, but I think this would be like the better way to say it, or I think this is funny, or like I think you're too close to it, or something like that, where I say let's step back and think about it in a different way. And the evolution of Doom's Vince, I think this more than anything else in the channel, like I think everything else thus far has been kind of a joke. Not to say that Spawnier isn't a joke in and of itself.
We didn't know what that character was exactly.
But now Doom's Vince is an actual character. I hit you, and you come back, and you try to recover. You try to recover, but boom! So the camera's over here. So I hit you here with the coat button. I mean, thank you to Captain Logan for really fleshing him out and coming out with the ideas that that would turn him into a person, as opposed to this persona that I would adopt sometimes and just be a goofball.
Well, I'm glad it worked, because the whole way through, especially once I came up with the clone thing and I started making Doom's, trying to find a way to somewhat humanize Doom, like make him more sympathetic. I really worried that we'd take his teeth away. Mm-hmm. Like, and I know that sounds kind of dumb, because the whole idea was that he's bad at being a supervillain. Yeah. Like he's not that. But then the whole idea was we turned him into a decent supervillain, and we made him bad at something else. That was my big thing. Was I don't want Doom's Vince to not still get to be a bad guy, even if we made him like actually legitimately friends with Captain Logan for a while, which. The ending came a lot later. Like the whole writing in the notebook thing that happens at the end. We came up with that very, not last minute, but it wasn't in the original script. I added it.
Tell him what the original idea for the ending was.
Originally, the idea was Captain Logan falls in this coma, and Doom's Vince comes into him in a dream and tells him that he's got a review to survive. And then at the end of it, he wakes up. And Vince is standing there, and at first Captain Logan thinks he's Doom's Vince, and he's like, oh, it's Vince. And Vince says, Captain Logan tells him what happened, and Vince goes, well, had you read every Spawn comic beforehand? And Captain Logan goes, no, I've never read every Spawn comic. And Vince says, well, how do you know that what you read is what was actually published? I think you're going to have to read them again. And that was going to be the big joke. And I think that if we had managed the every day for 365 days thing, and if we had made it more of a sketch comedy thing, where you still had, because like I was still going to do the popsicles and all that stuff, like all the little like Doom's Vince does horrible things to Captain Logan stuff was going to be in there, but there wasn't going to be like a character progression really. It wasn't meant to be a story.
But I think as Cap went through, he started realizing some of the possibilities within Spawnier, because he saw how farcical some of it was, and then how freeing dealing with farcical material is. And then he started looking at the possibility for character development and what you can do and what you can get away with. Because if you're dealing with something farcical, you can get away with a lot. If at its core, it can be dark, but if at its core it's not particularly serious, and it knows that, it's not taking itself seriously, then you can do things like Tiny Adam West. If you look at the nature of comedies, I feel like Spawnier is a good example of something you can do with a comedy. Like Life, the movie Life is a good example of something you can do with a comedy. You can have character progression. You can have, it doesn't have to be just plot-driven things happening that are funny.
Or even a joke a minute, because Spawnier's not always funny all the way through.
You can take your time to build. What
What is your favorite scene as Doom's Vince? You've now sat through every major Doom's Vince scene that we did. Is it killing you? Is it the death thing? Was that fun?
It's really hard to say what the favorite one is, because I have like favorite jokes and moments that were either bloopers or not. But I think the thing that I enjoyed doing the most was being the zombies.
Really?
I really loved making faces, trying to figure out how to physically be a different zombie, and I thought that was interesting. Or a poor clone. But
yeah, zombie clones. Yeah.
I think the thing that I liked the most about being Doom's Vince was the big rant, or not. I won't necessarily call it a rant, but the big accusatory speech that I had to give to you in the middle of Spawnier. I think it happened when Captain Logan was in the game room. Is that right? And I was kind of proud with some of the melodramatic ways I was able to deliver those lines.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun for me to do that, because afterwards, and also I got a lot of compliments from Captain Logan, and I think Brandon was there, where those guys went, "Wow, that was good. Maybe we should take another take just in case." But that was great.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think maybe the favorite joke is killing Doom's Vince, but dunk right in the head with a shovel. That's just comedically timed well, and then he gets killed and it gets darker. But...
Well, yeah, that was one of my favorite moments. Just doing it was just listening to you come up with different ways to sound like you're choking. That was so much better than Kirk's death in Generations.
That's the really blood fun. Filling into the bronchial tubes.
Oh, man. Yeah, he would explain what everything was. We'd finish right. He'd go, okay, just so you know, this is what is happening to me while I'm dying. I was like, wow. Talk real briefly about Sarah, both as Doom's Vince and as Doom's Vince's wife.
There's something that just strikes me as an endearing quality when she's Doom Sarah. I don't know what it is.
Do you really think you can make it through another 297 days of Spawn year? What makes you think that you can fare any better than Spawn?
They do say that, what is it, mimicry is the, best flattery or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget what the exact sage is, or adage. Whatever.
Sage?
Sage. I tried to say saying and adage, and it came out sage.
Obviously you don't know what the sage is. You can't even say the right...
I like to use sage and partially and time.
Imitation is the greatest form of
flattery. That's it.
Yeah.
But, anyway...
That's the sage.
That's the sage. I like to put sage on my chicken.
Yeah.
And,
it's pretty good.
But, wait, what was the question?
The question was Sarah as Doom's Vince and as Doom Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Sarah and I have always gotten along. And, but it was kind of fun to act with Sarah, and, I feel like she became, or got to the point that she was more comfortable being Doom Sarah, or even just being Sarah around Vince. And, I feel like it's mutual, It's nice to get along with your friend's, spouse or whoever, but it's nice to become friends with your friend's spouse.
Yeah.
Which it's one thing to get along, but it's another thing to have rapport, and I like that. I think that's kind of the best thing about it. And I think Sarah, she didn't even question it. I feel like some people, if you were to go to your wife and say, "Hey, I need you to pretend to be married to another person for me," and they go, "Huh?" So
Sarah doesn't bat an eye at that kind of thing, yeah.
But Sarah said, "Okay, what do you need me to do?"
I know this is a lot to take in.
But I'm brilliant, and your wife has discovered that she has excellent taste in men. Fortunately, your long period of sugar-induced unconsciousness persuaded her with birth.
And snow bunnies.
And we just sat down. And the same thing with Jason, actually.
Yeah.
He said he had no qualms with being Doom's Jason, and he was so excited to say his line.
He loved it. Yeah.
I almost wish we had a more appropriately sized jacket for him.
I think it was funnier that it didn't fit.
Doom Jason.
That was great, kiddo. But I'm supposed to say a line right there.
Brandon was pleased as punch to be part of this thing.
Yeah.
He was just stoked, excited. And it was kind of neat when we did some on-location shooting stuff, like when we had Pierce, the guy who made the costumes, also the cop, and
Stocky Frank Miller Batman.
Stocky Frank Miller Batman. And it was kind of interesting to see people that would show up and they would give their all, they would do their best, and it was like, hey, I want to support this project, and it's not just that, it's also spending quality time with people. And I think Cap at times would feel like he was putting upon us because we were doing something for the project. And really, I feel like what that is just worry stacked upon the fact that you have to try to coordinate with people when you're doing a collaborative art form.
Well, yeah, a lot of it was just... I didn't expect it to get as complicated as it did. We got really ambitious with this thing.
Yeah.
And, because we just had some really cool ideas that ultimately I thought, well, the project is better with this, and I didn't want to, lose that opportunity. And it required me to get help from people, and it became much more of a group project, because originally it was just, I made so many episodes by myself before I needed any help from anybody.
Oh, yeah. And then you have people like William, the owner of Elite Comics, who just offered an evening. He just came in and opened the store for us and said, yeah, we're closed. You shoot what you want. I'll be here until you're done.
Yeah, that was super nice of him to do that for us.
what store owner does that? You know, it's nice
Well,
to have
that ending
somebody-
is so much neater in a comic book shop. And
Yeah.
I really wanted that, and William has always been incredibly open and inviting about things like this.
And, you know, we were all very apologizing throughout that evening, like, no, thank you, William, for late. He was like, no big deal.
Well, we felt bad. We had traffic and stuff. We showed up late.
Yeah, it was awkward for that evening. There was more traffic than normal.
He was incredibly cool about it. Well, Vince, thanks for helping me make it what it is.
Thanks for having me. It's kind of interesting to be sitting here on this side of the set and not be a floating head. I realize it's the wrong background, but still.
Today is October 28th, and it is my final day of shooting. This is it. I've got 3 more episodes to do today. This will take half an hour, 45 minutes, and then that's it. I'm done. No more Spawn year. I'll be finished with the set. I'll be finished putting this costume on. I've been done with the writing for a while, but the end of the Notebook, this is a little bittersweet for me. I'm really relieved to be finished and to get back to other things, get back to Superhero Rewind again finally, and to be finished having to read these accursed comics. It's going to be good for my brain, and it's you know, it's a relief. But at the same time, I've been doing this for 2 years. This series has been a huge part of my life and my family's lives for the last straight 2 years. I've been working on this since September of well, I think I started writing actually in August of 2012, and of course you guys have seen the show and known about the show since December of that year and going all the way up till now. So it's been about 2 years for you guys. So it's been over 2 years for me. And there's a part of me that doesn't know what my life is without Spawn Year. I'm going to miss telling the story. I'm going to miss working on narrative. That's a lot of the reason I started the series in the first place. And it's really got me in a place where I want to work on another novel right now. And hopefully I can find the time sometime in the not too distant future to do that, because the storytelling has probably been my favorite part about this. And all the things that I've learned about filmmaking doing it. But anyway, this is it. I gotta be honest with you, I feel a little sad. It feels really weird that this is gonna be the last time I have to do this. So anyway, time to put this back on for one last time. Glow stick in my eye, gloves on my hands, wings. It was even weird the last day that I used the cape, not having to put that on again. I mean, I will wear this costume again. I'll take it to cons and things, but no more Spawn Year.
But it's dull and disappointing, and as redundant and revolting, and as sloppy and overbearing and crude and unsophisticated and cheap as all those